Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Bev. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And in this video, I'm going to be showing and explaining to you guys how I went from being completely fat, obese, overweight at 215 pounds, now being in the best shape of my life at 165 pounds, utilizing my Body by Bev training regime for maximum fat loss and muscle gain. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and just hop straight into it. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Bev. I am an online coach. I've been training for the last 6 years. I've been skinny, skinny fat, morbidly obese, and overweight, and now I'm currently in the best possible shape of my life. So, if you guys aren't already, make sure you're following me on Instagram. My handle is right here at RoydCito. Complete percent natural, by the way. The Instagram handle is just for shits and gigs. I just personally thought it was pretty funny. So this is what I used to look like before. If you look at the first slide here on the left, pretty skinny fat, really no real amounts of muscle, just basically, I'm sure some of you guys can relate, in a shirt you look normal, whatever, but as soon as the shirt comes off, you may have a little bit of boobs, a little bit of a stomach there. And this was me pretty much at the start of my journey, give or take around 6 years ago. The slide in the middle, that was maybe, maybe a couple months into training. I would say maybe 5, 6 months. No real results to really show for, as you could tell, by the lack of muscle. You could see, a little bit of a belly going on, some chest fat still there. And on the right side is possibly the worst and the biggest that I have ever been. During this period of my life, I was severely unhappy, depressed, completely overweight. And honestly, throughout all these three phases of my life, here are some common key factors that I shared throughout all of them. I was eating nothing but unhealthy junk. I didn't count my calories or my macros whatsoever. I was just kind of, just eating whatever was at home. And then, when I was, on the bigger side, just kind of stuffing my face with a bunch of fast food, eating whatever and whenever I wanted. Just severely depressed, unhappy, not really happy with the way that I looked. Didn't have any did not have any guidance or direction at all whatsoever, was very undisciplined, inconsistent, and unmotivated, and just simply didn't count any calories or macros whatsoever. So we fast forward now to the present day. This is what I'm looking like. Best shape that I've ever been in my life. I'm healthy, in great physical shape, as you can clearly see here. I'm very easily now able to count my calories and macros without really necessarily having to track everything down to a T. My confidence has skyrocketed since then. I used to be very insecure, being the skinny fat kid, and then also, being known as like the fat guy, the big guy. So, I know what it's like to be on both ends of the spectrum. And because of that, ever since I, changed my personal appearance, I'm no longer depressed. I'm a lot happier about my life and, the way I look. I'm now very disciplined, consistent, and motivated inside and outside of the gym. So, um, all the, what's a good way to say it? So basically, everything that you're able to learn into the gym, you're able to apply and transfer those skills into, different aspects, such as a business. For example, I day trades, a lot of the habits, so a lot of the good and healthy habits that I picked up from the gym, such as consistency and discipline, has helped me a lot in day trading, for example. And I'm just no longer confused and lost inside of the gym. I walk in with a plan. I know exactly what it is I'm going to do. I know how to execute it. I know how to train properly with good form. I know how to diet. I have all the knowledge that I need in order to see the results that I want. And my main goal is to pretty much give that to you guys, pretty much help you guys speed run your way into your dream physique, and ideally help you guys achieve the dream body that you guys want within a short amount of time without you guys having to go through all the trial and error, basically having to figure everything out, because that's pretty much the main course of this. You guys, to save you guys your time and get you guys the results that you guys want within a reasonable, time span or time period. Who is this program for? This is for people who train without any sort of structure, claim to have very limited time, have poor nutrition and nutritional knowledge, people who are seeking to lose stubborn body fat, and people who are looking to put on a maximum amount of lean muscle with very minimal fat gain. And some of the biggest problems that most people face, you don't know what you're doing inside of the gym, and you don't know what or how to eat. So how am I different compared to other online coaches? So other trainers or online coaches, they'll give you generic workouts, workouts they'll find from the internet, just some random PDF that they'll find off Google, and they'll go ahead and just give it to you. You'll have very limited support, very poor communication. If you reach out to them, ask them any questions, they may take hours, sometimes days to get back to you. And most of the plans that they're going to provide you with is, again, just straight off Google, not customized, just a one size fits all approach. And most importantly, they don't really care about your success. They just want your money. Me, however, on the other side, what I will offer you is a personalized program based off of your goals, tailored to, your personal body image goals. I focus on real transformations, and I teach lifelong lasting habits that you will be able to practice on your own for the rest of your life. And me personally, I really care about you getting results, probably more than you will, to be honest. With my training regime, you're gonna get a fully customized training and nutrition plan. So one, you're not gonna be lost in the gym, and you're gonna know exactly what foods that you should be buying and consuming on a day-to-day basis in order to achieve the body that you want. I'm also going to be offering weekly accountability check-ins just to make sure I'm holding you accountable and you're holding yourself accountable. So that way you're seeing what you want to see and I'm seeing what I want to see. So it's a two-way street. If I'm going to hold you accountable, I also want you to hold yourself accountable so that way we're both able to help meet and reach your goals, because at the end of the day, I want the best results for you just like you want the best results for yourself. You're going to have 24/7 direct messaging support via my personal cell phone number. So yes, you're going to have access to my personal cell phone number. So no matter what time it is, what day it is, you can feel free to reach out to me via text message, call me. You can ask me any questions. If you need any adjustments to your meal plan, to your training, as one of my main goals is going to be to show you how to train with good and proper form. But yeah, just main point is you're going to be able to contact me, ask me anything at all hours of the day. I'm always going to be, on standby to, answer any questions and help you out to the best of my ability. We're also going to be tracking results with data. So, your weight, your strength, physique. We're going to be keeping progress. We're going to be keeping track of all of that, all that progress on a weekly, day-to-day basis to make sure that you're on program, seeing the results and the progress that you should be seeing on a weekly to daily basis. This is also built for long-term independence and real lifestyle change. Just depending on what your goals are or how long you want to train with me, regardless, you're going to have the knowledge and the skill set to do this on your own independently for the rest of your life, so that way you're able to maintain and live a healthy and fit lifestyle. Also, this coaching fits your schedule anytime, anywhere. So at the very least, you're going to need at least 3 times a day to work out. But aside from that, you'll be able to do this from anytime, any place, as long as you have access to weights, a gym. To hell, honestly, even if you just have, if you're taking a vacation, not going to have access to a gym or anything, can very easily make you, something just involving body weight, pull up bar, whatever it is that we're going to need to, adjust in order for you to still be able to reach. And I'm not just selling you a workout plan. I provide full coaching inside and outside of the gym, accountability, and structure. So you actually see the results that you're after. Because at the end of the day, if you're not seeing results, you're not going to be happy, and I'm not going to be happy. Because if you don't see results, that's just a reflection of me and my training. That's a two-way street right there. So there's 4 pillars to my program. So the first pillar is going to be an effective gym routine. In my opinion, this is the least important pillar out of all of them, and I'm going to elaborate on that in just a bit. But nonetheless, I'm going to be providing you with an effective gym routine that's going to get you the results that you want. Make sure you're not overtraining. Make sure you're training every muscle equally without over fatiguing or overtraining any of them, so that way you see the growth that you want on a day-to-day basis. So with this, just kind of depending on how many times you're available per week, we'll make a custom workout split to, fit your schedule. Because again, this revolves around your schedule and how many times you're available throughout the week to actually train. Going on to the second pillar, proper nutrition and nutritional guidance. In my opinion, this is the most important pillar aside from rest. So the reason I'm saying proper nutrition and nutritional guidance is the most important pillar is because you can't outwork a bad diet. Simply, you guys probably heard this time and time again. You can't outtrain a bad diet. I don't care who you are. Even if you're on gear, stuff like that. No, you're not going to outwork a bad diet. So, you could do all the exercises. You could do the best exercises in the world, quote unquote. You could train in the most optimal way. But if your nutrition is not there, if you don't know how to eat, if you don't know how to eat, you're never ever going to see results. And if you do, you're not going to see the results that you want or are hoping for. So In my opinion, nutrition is the most important and is always going to be the most important when it comes to seeing results and a body transformation. Moving on to the third pillar, calorie and macro tracking. Again, this kind of relates to nutrition. Very, very important here. Plain and simple, if you're trying to bulk, you have to be on a surplus. If you're trying to cut, you have to be on a deficit. If you want to maintain, you have to maintain a certain amount of calories. There's no way around that. If you're on a surplus, I'm sorry to break it to you, you're going to be gaining weight. If you're on a deficit, you're never going to gain weight because that's just how the body works. And same thing with maintaining, as long as you eat the same amount of calories every single day, you're not going to go up, you're not going to go down. That's just the way the human body works. So this right here is going to be very, very important. This is where the accountability comes in. This is where I'm going to be holding you the most accountable, because this is arguably the hardest part about a body transformation, the eating and the tracking. And last but not least, we have habit building. This is where it all comes full circle. This is where we put everything together: the workouts, the tracking, the nutritional guidance, and the nutritional information. So, everything I'm going to be providing to you, such as knowing how to eat, how to count your macros, what you should be eating, what you shouldn't be eating, what foods to avoid, what workouts to do, how many times a week to train, how to know if you're overtraining, how to know if you're not training hard enough. All of this comes full circle and adds up towards achieving a complete body transformation. So you have to show up for the training, you have to do the cardio, you have to track your calories, you have to track your macros, you have to eat healthy, you have to know what you're eating, what you're putting in your body. So all of this all plays a small role, and once all these small roles come together, you're going to start seeing the results that you want. So this is going to be the method. So weeks 1 through 4, the main objective is going to be baseline habit training. So basically getting you into the habit of practicing everything that I just went over. So you got to crawl before you walk. So with the nutrition, we're going to calculate and set calories either at maintenance, a slight deficit, or a surplus, anywhere between 2 to 700 calories, depending on what it is that your body goals are. So, if you're trying to bulk, cut, maintain from there, so once we go over what your goals, what it is that you're looking to achieve, that's how I'll go ahead and determine whether or not to put you on a surplus, a deficit, or to keep you at maintenance for a little bit. So as far as calculating your macros go, for protein, it's going to be at least 1 to 2.2 grams of protein per body weight to help preserve and build as much muscle as possible. As far as the fats go, it's going to be zero point 0.5 grams per pound of body weight to maintain a hormonal balance and make sure that you're not really putting on as much body fat. And for the carbs, it's going to vary depending on how many calories that you have. I'll go ahead and determine how many carbs I'm going to be including in your diet. Again, it all depends on what your goals are. If you're going to be aiming to bulk, if you're going to be aiming to be in a slight deficit, or if your goal is to maintain. Again, the carbs is going to be just pretty much whatever remaining calories you have for the rest of your macros. That'll be determined depending on what it is that your personal goal is. Again, whether that's bulky, maintaining, or cutting. So as far as the training goes, it's going to be a balanced workout plan, anywhere between 3 to 6 times per week, depending on how many times you're available to train. And each workout is going to last anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes. So that's going to be more than enough time to get a full weightlifting session in, as well as your cardio. So as far as the strength training focus goes, it's going to be 3 to 6 strength training sessions per week, emphasizing compound lifts such as the bench, squat, pull-ups, etc. So for the cardio, we're going to have anywhere between 3 to 6 sessions a week of steady state cardio, whether that be the incline treadmill, seated bike, or the Stairmaster. The cardio is only going to be 30 minutes, so you're not going to be on a program where you're doing endless cardio, running 2, 3 hours a day, basically just slaving away being a cardio bunny. No, everything's going to be well rounded. We're going to have a mixture of weights and a mixture of cardio to ensure that you're putting on the most muscle and burning off the most amount of fat as possible. So as far as tracking goes, we're going to be using MyFitnessPal. We're going to be taking progress pictures, and I'm going to be sending you accountability texts on a weekly basis. Phase 2, weeks 5 through 12. The main objective here is going to be establishing progressive overload and body recomp. So as far as the nutrition goes, we're going to reassess your calorie intake every 4 weeks and adjust it based on your progress. If say for the first 3 weeks you're on a deficit of 300 calories, you're losing steady weight, but on week 4, week 5, you're no longer really losing as much weight, then we'll go ahead and make the proper adjustments that are needed in order for you to reach your cutting goals. And same vice versa. If you're bulking, if I have you on a 300 calorie surplus and you're gaining weight, gaining weight, gaining weight, all of a sudden you come to a plateau, then from there we'll go ahead and slowly make the needed adjustments to the calories and the macros in order to help you reach your personal body goals. So as far as the training goes, we're going to increase intensity volume, whether that's incorporating drop sets or supersets for hypertrophy reasons. And we're going to make any adjustments to the splits if necessary. I know sometimes life gets in the way. You can't really train, on certain days, or, or like your work may get in the way, or, if you have kids, things like that nature, or if you have kids, things of that nature, we can always make adjustments to the workout split to make sure that, one, you're not overtraining, two, you're training enough, and three, at the very end of the day, you're getting the results that you want. So months 4 through 6, this is basically just refining and mastering the skill set. So for the training, we will be adding advanced recomposition techniques, whether that's tempo work and cardio intensity. So closer you get to your goals, it's going to be a little bit harder to, see more progress, the closer and closer you get to your goals. So, when needed, we're going to increase the cardio intensity, and we're also going to, switch up the training style to more tempo based work, kind of more so eccentric movements, controlling, the movement down, coming up, make sure you're feeling the squeeze, make sure you're training properly so that way, you're seeing the results that you want. And periodization. So pretty much all periodization means is that you're able to do it on your own. We're taking your training wheels off pretty much. So for example, this kind of relates to sustainability. So these two go hand in hand. So, as far as like the training goes, you'll be able to go into the gym. You'll know exactly what it is that you need to do. You won't really have to sit there, look at like notes, read what it is that you're doing. You'll definitely be more guided and have more sense of direction inside of the gym. And, as far as the nutrition goes, we're going to be calorie cycling. So when you train, so on the days that you train, we're going to incorporate a couple more calories, and the days where you're resting, we're going to have a 10% decrease in calories on your rest days. So as far as the protein goes, it's going to be the same thing, just kind of depending on where you're at. It's going to be anywhere between 1 to 2.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Pretty much being able to eat at maintenance, in a surplus, or in a deficit, without really having to track as much. Same thing with the periodization, going into the gym, knowing what weights you're repping out, what your working sets are, things of that nature. So reasons why I created this program. So if you're somebody who's tired of not knowing what to do inside of the gym, not knowing what to eat to maximize your results, going to the gym on a day-to-day basis and not seeing the results that you want, also wasting countless hours inside of the gym with no results to show, if you're feeling lost, feeling helpless, if you're looking to achieve results as fast as possible, obviously, an overnight transformation is not something that you should expect. At the very end of the day, a transformation still takes a lot of time, dedication, and patience to achieve the results that you're looking to see. And also, the last reason I created this program for is to finally feel good and confident about yourself, because I know as many of you can probably relate, you know, if you're not happy with the way your body looks, chances are you're more than likely probably not happy in general. Me personally, when I was skinny fat, when I was severely obese and overweight, I simply just didn't have any confidence, especially when it came to, like women talking to girls, like if for whatever reason a woman decided to approach and come talk to me, like I just simply had no confidence, even though the ball was on my court. But, as you'll see, you know, look good, feel good, as they say, So once you definitely have a nice looking body, you're gonna notice that you feel a lot better. Your confidence is gonna be a lot higher. You're not gonna have a problem talking to women, to dude, even in general, just talking to people in general. Like your whole confidence is gonna go higher. Like you're just gonna feel a whole lot better about yourself, and in terms of that, that's gonna transfer over to different aspects of your life as well. So again, this is just me present day, no longer going through those insecurity issues, no longer feeling hopeless, sad, depressed. Now everything is all pretty much, I don't want to say muscle memory. Well, to an extent, yeah, it is kind of all like muscle memory, but like once you get into the healthy habits, once you have everything down to a T, you're going to be able to do this on your own without having to track everything, without having to sit there, write down every single workout, take note of everything. You're going to know exactly what it is that you're doing, and from there, if you choose to do so, you can also pour your knowledge into other people. And so, like I mentioned earlier, the whole end goal of this is for you to be able to maintain and continue this independently on your own. So once you pretty much go through my whole training regime, you'll be able to track your macros, calories, you'll be able to document your progressive overload. all kind of, mentally. You won't really have to be, writing things down as much. You'll kind of be able to look at certain foods and know, okay, you know what, kind of have like a general idea of how many calories, how much protein is inside this meal and things like that, which is something that's, it's built off of experience. So here are some client testimonials. I work with both men and women. Here are just, some messages that my clients have, sent me, when they're seeing results. For example, I have my client Brian. I took him on as a client when he was 180 pounds, and within a couple of weeks got him down to 165, 160 pounds, and he was receiving a lot of compliments from not just his family, but from strangers at the gym. So, that's always something good to see. And, as a coach, when I have my clients messaging me saying that people are giving them compliments or people are seeing the results, it truthfully makes me happy because I know I'm doing my job to the best of my abilities. So, right here we have transformation. This girl right here, she was, a little bit on the smaller side, helped her put on some weight, gain a good amount of lean muscle. And same here with my client Brian. He had a lot of excess body fat. As you could see, we narrowed him down. His back is a little bit wider. His waist is a little thinner here. A lot more back muscle. And same with like the front pictures, as you can go ahead and see here. He's a lot more overweight, bit of a belly, and then now, he's slimming down, putting on that lean muscle, and starting to have that, that wide top and narrow waist look. This is my client Jesse right here in the middle. Same thing, had a bunch of excess body fat, not as much muscle, but as you could see, how his back went from almost no muscle to now having a literal demon on his back. And same thing, you could see his lats from the front of his chest now when he's taking a picture from the front, so that's always good. And right here on the left is my transformation, which took me about a year to do. So this one I was, severely overweight at almost like 250 pounds. And this is what I'm looking like now at around 165 pounds. So, these are just some client testimonials here showing you guys that, what I'm offering, you guys will get your results that you want. You guys will see the change that you're looking for. And most importantly, you guys are going to get that confidence that you've always been looking for as well. So if you're interested in getting started, just feel free to DM me on Instagram at Roydcito. The at is right here. DM me the word dominate or just simply send me a message saying that you saw my YouTube video. Or if you want, go ahead and click the link in the description and I will go ahead and personally reach out to you to schedule a call. So that's basically just going to wrap up this video. So if you went ahead and watched the whole thing through, I just want to take the time out of my day to thank you for watching my video. I appreciate each and every single person who has made it this far. And, most importantly, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a blessed day.